Today's Encounters with God story is about cars, specifically my cars here in Cambodia. When I first came in 1994, I rode on the back of a moto. It seemed quite dangerous because you have to sit side saddle, and sometimes the traffic is not very good and you go weaving around cars. And I used to pray all the time, please Lord, help me, don't let me fall off, because you sit side saddle and just kind of hang on as best you can. You don't want to hug the driver. And so I would pray, Lord, help me not to fall off. And then one day as I was driving, a scripture came to my mind. It said, now unto him that is able to keep you from falling. God has a sense of humor. Well, as I drove along, I realized I really would have to have a car. And so I was able to get the funds and bought a car, and I remembered I had learned how to drive in Canada, and I remembered. And when you're used to being driven along by somebody else, you don't really depend on yourself very much to drive. So it was a big learning curve for me to drive myself around in the car in Cambodia, even though I had driven some in Canada. And so I drove my car to the market one day, and when I got back, my car was gone. It had been stolen. And so with a lot of effort, I managed to get the funds to buy another car. And it was not a good car. The mission director kept telling me, you need to sell this car and then you need to raise funds to buy another one, a better one. And I said, no. I was stubborn. I said, I'm not going to do that, because if people give me money for a car, then they won't give me money for other things, and I need the money to help the poor people here in Cambodia. We'll just keep getting this one fixed. But it kept breaking down over and over again. And then one day I went to pick somebody up at the airport. We were only gone about 20 minutes, and when I came back, the car was gone. It had been stolen again, my second car. As we left the airport, I really complained to the Lord. I said, are you with me or not? Because if you're not with me, I'm not staying here. And that was absolutely true. Well, he showed me how much he was with me. Because in a few days, I got a message from the authorities, mission authorities in Canada, and they said, someone has donated $15,000 for you. It was enough and more to go ahead and get another car. So my car was stolen on Thursday, and by Tuesday I had another car, a better one than the one before, one that would not keep breaking down. God was so good to me. But I didn't know anything about how to operate a car, except I knew how to drive, that's all. I didn't know how to change a tire, for instance. One of those days, sure enough, my tire was flat. Oh, now what am I going to do? And I glanced out the window, and oh, we're right beside the tire shop. So God had provided. Another day we were out on the outskirts of town, and suddenly the car stopped, and we didn't know what to do. Just a bunch of ladies in the car, we didn't know what to do. The car wouldn't go. And we were quite a ways on the outskirts, and we thought, well, now we're going to have to ride motos back into town, and it was kind of dangerous. And anyway, one of the women had actually promised her husband she would not ride a moto. He did not want her to, because he said it was too dangerous. So we got out of the car, and we were standing there trying to think what we were going to do, how we were going to get back into town. It was pre-cell phone. We couldn't call somebody. And what do you know? Suddenly across the street, a car stopped. It was a group of Vietnamese missionaries, and they were just on their way to a village. And they saw us, they saw that we were standing beside the car, that we had trouble, and they said, oh, no problem, we'll drive you back to Phnom Penh. The timing of that again was so perfect. And so I learned to trust the Lord, and I drove my car until I was 72. And then I decided it was time to get some of the stressors out of my life, and so I hired a driver. And now I have a very, very good, experienced driver. He knows how to drive very, very well. He's very careful with me, and he helps me. I love him very much, and I know he loves me too.